fact, let's stick with this story. The Fed's hawkishness has pushed up U.S. 10-year bond yields by nearly 10 basis points to 4.33%. Yet, the Indian 10-year yield has risen by only 1 to 2 basis points. The dollar index too, let's pull that up. The dollar index has risen by 70 basis points to 105.44, but the rupee has fallen by only 0.05%. So let us here to tell us why the Indian market reaction has been a bit muted compared to what we've seen in the US.
Well, the big chatter in the Indian bond and rupee market is the likelihood of Indian bonds getting included in the JPM bond index. So you can see the very muted reaction despite a 10 basis point rise in US 10-year yields. The Indian yield actually went up by 2 basis points, and towards close of trade, even that got mellowed to perhaps 1 basis point at the most. And the expectations stem from the fact that the announcement usually comes in the end of September, effective or first week of October. And that's why as we get closer to the end of the month, the chatter gets louder. There isn't any new information, but people reiterate what they have been hearing. One, that the bond investors, funds which follow the index, when asked by the index providers around August, that letter went to them, they have responded overwhelmingly in favor of inclusion of India, and the chatter grew after China and Russia became practically uninvestable. The second reason is that JPM itself put out a report saying that now they're able to adjust and do the clearing for withholding tax. So they should be able to adjust other taxes, is the argument. And India has been under watch. You can't keep a country under watch for years. It's already over a year. So a decision has to come one way or the other. And at the moment, the India story is so strong that it would make more sense to include. That's what the market chatter is trying to convince itself. I want to repeat that there is no new information that has come from the index providers, but the market is simply so sure or getting increasingly sure that this may work in favor of Indian bonds, which is why we are seeing hardly any impact on Indian bond yields from an action that should have been extremely negative for Indian bonds as well. If nothing were to come by October first week, we can see a very big jump in Indian yields, maybe 5-10 basis points in the very least. But at the moment, the markets are in the grip of this expectation. Likewise, ditto for the rupee market as well. As you know, the dollar index has surged, but the rupee is barely weaker. Dollar is stronger by about 5-6 paise compared to the overnight close. And here again, besides this expectation, the traders tell us that Reserve Bank also has been providing dollars, selling dollars, and this is working to a double plan. It is smoothening the likely depreciation of the rupee. The Reserve Bank also wants to remove excess liquidity in the system. They have made that abundantly clear by the incremental CRR that they had announced. Now that that is going away, they're using other means to keep liquidity tight. And so this selling of dollar is working to Reserve Bank's overall game plan, is what traders tell us. But the important point is a lot of dollars is expected to come into the system if the index inclusion happens. That's another reason why the market itself doesn't want to short the rupee. So that's the big news in the bond markets, not the Fed, the bond index.
Okay, all right. Absolutely. Same time last year, Lata, this similar kind of expectations,
yeah,
right?
But that's the time the chatter started. So now everyone's feeling is, we have been in watch for 1 year. You can't keep us endlessly on watch.
I remember I did a piece back then,
yes.
And then it was supposed to happen that weekend, didn't happen, and then yields did move up.
Yes.
As you said. So, we'll see. But that's a big one, absolutely, no doubt about it, if it does indeed happen. Also remember, from the time of announcement to the time of inclusion, there is expected to be a large, if the announcement happens, the inclusion...
give it in stages.
Yeah,
right?
It'll happen with some time lag. Lata, thanks very much for that. We'll take a very quick commercial